From the dawn of the 20th century, the human imagination reached toward machines that could calculate, that could remember, that could help us understand the complexity of the world. In this journey, the story of computers became not only the story of technology but also the story of human aspiration, determination, and vision. Because the dream of mechanical minds did not begin with silicon but with the persistence of thinkers who saw far beyond their own times. In the year 1900, the world was filled with mechanical contraptions, gears and levers that performed basic tasks. Punched cards drove tabulating machines used by census bureaus and insurance companies. These devices were slow, heavy, and limited, but they carried within them the seed of something far greater. Because humanity had always sought ways to offload the burden of calculation from the human mind. In the first decades of the 20th century, great inventors and mathematicians expanded on this seed with machines that could process information more efficiently. The dream of automation grew in laboratories and universities, while society itself changed through industrialization and the rise of new sciences. Then the world wars brought a fierce demand for advanced calculations for ballistics, cryptography, and logistics. It was during these years that machines such as the British Colossus and the American Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer came into being. They were enormous, they filled entire rooms, they consumed massive amounts of energy, and they required teams of people to operate. Yet they were alive with a new promise: they could think faster than any human mind could hope to calculate. They marked the birth of the electronic era and showed what determination and necessity could bring forth. The middle of the 20th century witnessed the great leap from vacuum tubes to transistors. Each vacuum tube was fragile and consumed immense amounts of power, but the transistor, tiny, resilient, and efficient, transformed the very nature of computing. In the year 1947, the invention of the transistor ignited a revolution that allowed machines to shrink in size and grow in power at the same time. By the 1950s, mainframe computers became symbols of progress, massive cabinets of steel and wire that represented the beating heart of modern organizations. Governments, banks, and research laboratories relied on them. They were expensive and rare, but they embodied the dream of a future shaped by electronic intelligence. And then the integrated circuit arrived in the 1960s, combining countless transistors on a single chip. This invention was not merely an improvement, it was a breakthrough that changed the destiny of computers forever. Now machines could become smaller, faster, more reliable, and accessible. The idea that computers could one day enter homes and personal lives started as a whisper but soon became an unstoppable wave. As the 1970s unfolded, personal computing began to emerge. Pioneers dreamed not only of machines for governments and corporations but of machines for people, individuals, children, dreamers, creators. The vision of bringing computing power to every desk and every household was daring, but it resonated with the spirit of freedom and curiosity that defined that era. The first personal computers arrived like humble seeds: the Altair, the Apple, the Commodore. Each was primitive by later standards, but they lit a fire in the minds of millions. The command lines, the blinking cursors, the beeps and static were not limitations, they were invitations to explore, to create, to connect. And this dream exploded in the 1980s, when the world witnessed the rise of graphical user interfaces that replaced cold commands with windows and icons, when the mouse joined the keyboard, when computers stopped being silent boxes for specialists and began to sing the language of ordinary people. The personal computer became a tool for education, creativity, business, and entertainment. It became a symbol of empowerment. The 1990s then ushered in an even greater revolution: the birth of the World Wide Web, the linking of computers into a vast global nervous system. For the first time, humanity could communicate, share ideas, and spread knowledge across the globe in seconds. The internet turned the personal computer from a solitary island into a gateway to the entire world. In those years, email replaced letters, search engines replaced libraries, chat rooms brought strangers together, and digital communities flourished. Computers became not only tools of productivity but also bridges of human connection, and this wave only grew stronger as the new millennium arrived. The 21st century began with processors of unimaginable speed, with memory that could store entire lifetimes of knowledge, with networks that spanned continents, and with visions of artificial intelligence that could learn, adapt, and even surprise us. Laptops, smartphones, tablets, these were not only computers, they were companions. They entered our bags, our pockets, our hands. They became extensions of ourselves, always ready, always present. They transformed work, travel, relationships, and dreams. Never before in history had such power been carried so casually by so many. The story of computers is the story of acceleration. Every decade compressed centuries of advancement in the span of a few years. And by the time humanity reached the second decade of the 21st century, the boundaries between the physical and the digital began to dissolve. Cloud computing meant that information was no longer confined to a single device. It floated across servers and satellites, accessible everywhere. Artificial intelligence systems began to recognize faces, understand speech, translate languages, and generate ideas. Tasks once believed to belong solely to human minds were now shared with digital partners. And this journey brought us to the present, to the year 2025, when computers are no longer simply tools, they are collaborators. They assist in art, in medicine, in science, in exploration. They map the human genome. They help design cures. They predict storms. They guide spacecraft beyond the solar system. They weave themselves into the fabric of our daily existence. When we look back from this vantage point, we see not only circuits and screens but also courage and creativity, the courage of inventors who believed in the impossible, the creativity of programmers who built universes from code, the resilience of dreamers who never gave up through failures, setbacks, and doubts. Every step, from punched cards to smartphones, every leap from vacuum tubes to quantum experiments, tells us that humanity has always refused to remain still. We are a species that dreams forward, that builds beyond the horizon, that believes in tomorrow. The evolution of computers from the year 1900 to the year 2025 is not a dry timeline. It is a living testament to our hunger for understanding, to our thirst for creation, to our longing for connection. Each chip, each algorithm, each glowing screen is a reflection of our determination to expand what it means to be human. And now, as we stand on the edge of quantum computing and artificial intelligence that learns like a child, we can see that this story is far from over. If the past century gave us machines that calculate and communicate, the coming century may give us machines that reason, dream, and perhaps even feel. And in that unfolding chapter lies both challenge and wonder, for we must guide these creations with wisdom, with ethics, with humanity. Yet in every heartbeat of this journey, one truth remains clear: computers are not cold, lifeless objects. They are mirrors of our spirit, amplifiers of our will, companions in our quest to know more, to be more, to imagine more. From the clattering punch cards of the early 20th century to the seamless digital worlds of today, this evolution is a song of human possibility. And as we look toward the next horizon, we know that the story of computers is truly the story of us all.